Excuse me. My name is Pugs Moran. Happy to be here with you. Radio Misfits is, let's talk about the heart and soul is myself. And he's James Parker, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for him.
Keep it going.
E is not here. I can show you why. Here, E. Well, he kind of gave us a heads up yesterday, right? I mean, this is no shock. He told us the tale of his crumbling infrastructure at his second gorgeous Highland Park mansion that he... Look at this. Look at this. This is what's going on. This is his studio. This is the studio where he typically does the show from.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So,
Really gutted. Dang it.
Give me another one. Here's a little ceiling. How interesting little ceiling work they got going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all boogered up.
Oh, yep. Yeah, it's bad. So he is not going to be with us. His studio is down. This is the last show of the week because we are not doing a show tomorrow night, James. I think we let you know that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the debut of Mace's high school football career.
It is. He said gets all started at Widely East tomorrow. Got to drive. Got to get used to driving about like an hour every day. This kid, James, listen to this. Okay, so I just want everyone to know, because this happens with me when I discover a TV show that I like, or if I discover a new band, I just go insane for it. I indulge myself to every little thing there is to read and watch. James, that's about to happen with Texas high school football. I'm about to become like a Texas high school dude. I have already subscribed to Max Preps. That's right. That's me. This guy. This guy's nuts.
Wow, that's next level stuff.
And I'm only following freshman teams. That's the other thing.
That's a little suspect.
Well, no, it's because that's what my son is, and I'm keeping an eye on who he's going to be matriculating through high school with. I want to see what other teams are building, and you can do, man, Texas high school football, dude. I mean, you grew up with it, so this is no shock to you, but I'm telling you from an outsider who actually, played in another type of high school state system, man, this place is the Matrix. This Texas high school football is like the Matrix.
How so?
It's very complicated. It is so complicated. Yes, just like me not understanding the Matrix to this day, it is just incredible. It's needlessly complicated. Like sometimes I think the Warshawskis, the guys who created the Matrix, and they, made all kinds of weird stuff. I think they need
who created the Matrix.
Whoever, thems. I don't know, whatever. Respectfully, I think they unnecessarily make stories and plot lines too complicated, and that's exactly what I think of the Matrix. I thought the Matrix was a great movie, and I enjoyed it. But it was needlessly complicated. Could have been simplified. And that's what Texas high school football is. My son is playing his first season. He has 10 games with one bye week. So it's an 11-week schedule. So it's 10 games with a bye week.
Fun.
Dude, he's got 6 road games. He's only got 4 home games.
Okay, so that's just one off of average. Next year he'll have 6 home games and 4 away games. Or the year before they had 6 home games.
How do you know? I don't know. Who are you to guarantee me that?
Okay, so in Texas high school football, whoever you play this year, next year you play the exact same schedule. Y'all just flip-flop home and away. We only make new schedules every 2 years. It's like our legislature in Austin only meets every 2 years. That's it. Right? So we make changes we're a very biennial state. And that's the rhythm we're on. We make and specifically for football purposes of every schedule is a home and away. So either it's the same teams that you played last year and you'll get a new schedule next year, or you'll get this exact same guys next year. But I'm pretty sure it's the second version here because like my kids go to Bullard and they played the first game of the season at Maybank last year, but this year they are at home against Maybank.
So how is just flipping? Okay, so flipping the locations would mean all the teams that they went to this year were okay. See, this is a different thing. I grew up in a fairly sophisticated IHA. That's the Illinois High School Sports Association, the IHSA. But we played We played 10 games. We played 5 home and 5 away. I don't understand why it needs to be complicated. Why did they ever get to a point where it's 6-4? You know what I mean? Why not start out 5-5 and that way it's even? Because man, it's his first year of high school football, and now he's probably looking at a losing record. You know, if you go by home field advantage.
Something I noticed that happens in Dallas a lot is a lot of these schools will share a stadium, and so you'll be listed as an away team, but you're still playing in your home stadium because the team that you share the stadium with is also playing, and one of y'all has to be home and one of y'all has to be away on the stat sheet, but you're really both playing a home game.
Yeah, my son's school shares Kimbrough Stadium with another school, I guess, but that's not a factor here. It's not.
That's not it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, what was their schedule last year? Because if it's, it should be the copy of what it is this year.
He wasn't in high school last year.
I know.
Now you're gonna make me join the boosters? Yeah, I lurk on the booster page, the football booster page. I don't want to get roped into that. That's too high level. All right, yeah, tomorrow's his first game, so we're very excited. We gotta try it.
Yeah, I'm getting roped into the booster thing. I think I'm gonna have to be in the band booster concession stand for a couple of games because my wife started going to meetings. And she's like, oh, no, they're short on volunteers. I think I need you to go. I'm like, why don't you go? She's like, it's hot. Oh, okay.
You guys, you don't have a picture, you guys, because it's pretty much just because of what your wife looks like. But I picture like you guys having like this Coach Taylor like relationship, you know, like from Friday Night Lights, where she's like always sort of, you're just kind of old, stick in the mud, set in your ways. She's always trying to get you roped into and involved in things.
Oh, come on, honey.
Yeah, the best of intentions. You're awful and she's wonderful.
That's so great. It's just for a couple of Friday nights or Thursday nights. Okay. Yeah, exactly what it is. Exactly.
All right. So speaking of that, I don't know if you had anything on your agenda, but
I was concerned when you came in here. It's like, well, he isn't going to be here today. I'm like, did his plane crash in Belarus or whatever? Was he on that one? Because that seems like something he would be roped up in. Right, like when he goes bass fishing in Cuba or has to live in Toronto after.
All right, that's enough. We have fun with E, but we don't talk about those kinds of things in association with E and what he may or may not actually have been, or maybe still is. We don't go there. We don't talk about it. But the greater topic that you're discussing, interests me greatly. So tell everybody what you're talking about there.
Yeah, the dude that started the Wagner group, the
Prigozhin.
Yeah, that tried to have the Russian coup. What was that, like a month ago or 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Oh, time.
How brazen? Well, I'm sorry, I might be burying lead here, but how brazen is Putin? Okay, just continue. It was just a month ago where he's like, "Yeah, you'll be fine."
Yeah. So there was an attempted coup. It didn't make it very far, and some paramilitary group with like, what was it, 25,000 dudes were starting to march on Moscow, and you're kind of thinking like, dude, that ain't gonna cut it. You're a dead man. He died today, and it was a mysterious plane crash, and we don't know if it was hit. Well, was it hit by a missile? Do we know? I mean, how would you even know? I just assume everything from that part of the world is lies.
We know, and I take exception to everything that you've just said. He was on his way to taking Moscow. He had cut through 5 cities already in less than 24 hours. He had elite special forces funded with all special Kremlin money. Because remember, this was Putin's Frankenstein, and suddenly it had turned on him, and it was about to start wiping out Russian troops defending Moscow. And something happened between the two men. Something happened between Putin and Prigozhin. There was a conversation, and before you knew it, Prigozhin was given the order for everybody to turn around and return to their home bases. The fate of him, however, was strange, because if you remember, he was granted asylum and safe passage by Putin to Belarus, which is just like, Putin Smithers, I mean, to use some.
Oh, that is a great description. Yeah.
So he's over there with Putin Smithers.
You'll be fine there. You'll be safe.
Yeah, and Putin's telling the whole world, hey, he made a mistake. As long as he stays in exile for his shame, I have no. And then, like 3 weeks later, the dude's plane drops from the sky. I just think that's so brazen. Look, obviously, I believe Putin did it and have absolutely no doubt. I just, usually he's kind of like, irradiation poisoning, and he gets a chef embedded in a fancy restaurant and they put something in the Scotch pudding, and then suddenly the dude's died. Sometimes it's more, fuck, this guy, it was just 3 weeks and wait for him to be flying in a plane and just take him out.
Yeah, he just like slid under the plane and cut the brake lines or something.
Yeah, brazen.
So what, more than me. Was it a missile that took it out?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
You sound like a little more confident in the details than me.
No, it's just, he was in Moscow. He was supposed to be in Moscow last week because I'd been following that story, the story of the attempted coup that just suddenly went, out of nowhere, just ended. Because it looked like it started on Thursday night, and by Saturday morning, like early morning Saturday, it looked like they were going. They were about to hit Moscow and hit them hard. Moscow was evacuating. I was on the Google Maps where they show the roads in and out of Moscow, and they were all closed. I mean, it was very exciting. And then by noon, he was turning around, and I'm like, "What the hell happened?" I thought this was going to be exciting TV. Thought this was going to,
So, is there anyone that thinks, well, it could have just been mechanical failure? Like, is anyone even trying to push that it was an accident or just a weird coincidence, bro?
Yeah, the Kremlin. That's what the Kremlin's saying.
Right. But they're the only ones, right? Like USA Today or CNN's not like, well, we don't know for sure if it was foul play. Because those people always crack me up.
What is the latest? Let's see. What's a good site that might have the latest on something like a Drudge Report? Okay, I bet you Drudge Report would have the absolute latest on something like this. Let's see. Okay, no, it's all debate stuff.
All right. Well, I'm at USA Today and they have some stuff on the front screen. You want to see what they got?
Yeah, hit me. Go.
So USA Today, pop it up on the screen. Bam. Okay, there's some debate stuff, but this one right here, that's Wagner chief who plotted coup, presumed dead in Russia plane crash, Ukraine updates. Let's click through. Boom. So they got something on it. Was bored. It just said it crashed. Not it was shot down. It crashed. 7 passengers, 3 crew members. That's not a whole lot. How do you say this dude's name? Prigozhin?
Yeah, Prigozhin. Like Prigozhin.
I really love the Russian accent. It's like it's very masculine, like because the French accent is very feminine and boo boo she she oui oui. But the Russians, they're not messing around. They have a serious. My Russian always turns into Borat, so I don't want to do it right now. But the other one that I really liked, this dude that was on my soccer team in college was from Nigeria. And I got to where I could do Uzo's voice, and it was a funny thing to do on trips and stuff. But I love that African accent because it's very masculine. So it's right up there with Russian.
Oh, you mean like the West African, like really that kind of deep kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
So I was the goalie. We'd be in the middle of the game. You go, good fucking save, Parker.
Yeah.
That's right, Uzo. Let's go.
It's like the dude on Ted Lasso, who's like the big giant scary guy, but he's really nice.
Okay.
But when he gets mad. Yeah, go ahead.
So look at this smoldering wreckage here.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the video?
No, I haven't seen the video. There's video.
Oh my God, James. Yeah, please let's get into this here. Go ahead. Let me get it all for you. There's a whole Twitter thread. How we spell Prigozhin? Let me see. I got it. Never mind. Okay, we'll show you the.
Just like it sounds, Prigozhin.
You know what? Prigozhin. It really is. It really is spelled exactly the way it sounds. Look at that.
Yeah.
What is this? Let's get the.
We had a U.S. made Poseidon Maritime Patrol and Reconnaissance plane owned by Norway that when it was approaching the Russian border, it was intercepted by a Russian MiG and turned back.
Ooh.
They're keeping people from even coming to look at it.
How exciting. All right, here, let's get that off. I got the actual plane falling out of the sky for you.
Oh, well, that's much better.
It is more exciting. All right, here we go. You know what? Let me make it big. Sorry.
Yeah, I see what you're
that's
doing.
That's what she said.
Here, I can make it even bigger. That's what he said.
There we go. All right, so see it?
112.
Yeah, can you see it in the middle there? No, can you see the plane in the middle?
Not really. Do the
Yeah.
mouse over it.
All right, here, yeah.
Okay,
So
it just looks like a bird, like a little dot. Okay.
right. So it's right between the 1 and the 12. So let's watch that.
Вот.
Okay, see now
Just
it's falling.
Блядь, а куда он падает-то?
There it is.
Ёб твою мать!
Okay, we're watching, we're seeing it. It's basically going nose first straight into the ground.
Бля!
No.
Тихо, тихо. Сюда зайди.
Ooh, there was.
Пизда. Он еще не упал. Пизда.
There it is.
Look.
That was about 3 seconds. You felt the impact. Did you see when it hit the ground, like the ground where the girl with the camera was actually shook?
Ты уверен? Блядь, а куда он падает-то? Ёб твою мать!
So here, watch for impact.
Еб,
You'll see the camera
бля!
shake.
Сука! Тихо, тихо.
See the truck move?
All right, maybe so. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah, check that out. The truck, the impact.
Блядь, а куда он
Truck
падает-то?
shook.
Wow.
Ёб твою мать! Еб, бля!
Right. Now, as tiny as that is, you can learn a lot from this video.
Сюда зайди.
All right, shut up, ladies. You're beautiful, but great.
Okay.
But we're done with you. So first off, yeah, that was a shot down plane. That wasn't a plane that had some mechanical issue and then slowly descended to a fiery death.
Do you think? I mean, how do you know? I mean, I don't know what I'm looking at there. I'm just seeing a plane fall out of the sky. I can't tell what caused it to.
All right, so if it was just like a mechanical failure, you would still be able to glide down. And if there was something wrong with the navigation, you might go into like a flat spin, but you would still be going at like a 45-degree angle. You wouldn't be going straight down unless something hit you and then you just fell like that. Look, I have no training in this, but that seems
Don't.
obvious physics.
Okay.
So yeah, that looks like it was something that got hit by a missile, or if not hit by a missile, there was a bomb on it that exploded. But something, an outside force acted upon this plane, and this was more than a mechanical failure. Someone put in diesel in an unleaded engine or something.
Okay, hold on. So this is a development that's occurring, and this was something that I did hear early on. This is happening in Russia right now. Here's some video of Putin racing back to the Kremlin after word that
Why
the
did you
Wagner. What's that?
Sharing it. Why'd you stop sharing it?
Okay, it's a new one. It's a new video. There you go. Okay, this is video from a couple hours ago. Putin coming back from his vacation home and rushing to the Kremlin upon word that the Wagner troops are now moving on Russian soil again because they're angry about their boss being killed. So that's apparently a new wrinkle within the last couple of hours.
Yeah, this seems like something that can backfire, but
Yeah.
again, I'm no great general, but usually when you cut the head off the snake, that's the end of it. There's not a whole lot of battles where there was someone that was contending for power, and when the main rival died, the army went and surged and took out the main guy anyway. That's not likely to happen.
James, can I direct your attention to the Middle East? The hell are you talking about? Every time we kill a leader, another guy pops up to lead a group. Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
No, I mean
back to ancient times, because
right. No. But
there was a multi-headed sort of table of generals that were involved with Wagner. Prigozhin was just like, the top of the top, but he had lieutenants and he had other people who all these soldiers will follow. I mean, it is a very dangerous situation.
But in your comparison to the Middle East, in this situation, Putin would be in the seat that Bashar al-Assad's in Syria. And even though we keep knocking out whoever's the head of ISIS and the next guy rises up, they're not going to knock out Bashar al-Assad. There's still the rebels that just don't have the numbers to make it happen. In my humble opinion, they probably would have done it by now if they could have.
Well,
so
I mean, you do confidently say this on the anniversary of Muammar Gaddafi being overrun and thrown out of office. That happened on this day. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think I love Russian politics. I love Russian history. I love all of it. I'm fascinated by it. So, hey, anytime Russia can be cast into turmoil, I'm going to be there with a big bowl of popcorn. That's what I'm rooting for.
I'd very much like to fly a jet.
Yes. Okay, so something else that I wanted to mention, that I wanted to talk with you specifically about, although it would have been nice for E to be here. Something that you and I here, let me pull this up just so we can have a little visual aid, since we seem to be doing that today. Do you remember last year when we talked about Bishop Sycamore High School?
Which one's Bishop Sycamore? What did they do?
Bishop Sycamore is the school. Don't you remember the fake high school football team that got on ESPN?
Okay.
It didn't even really exist.
Yeah,
But somehow they hoodwinked people at ESPN into putting them up against AMG Academy in Florida, the nation's best high school football team in prime time. And they got waxed like 75-0. And then after it, they were like, could those kids even play football? Were they even a team? And it turned out, well. So I'm guessing you don't know about this. So this is good. So you're going to watch this. You're going to enjoy this for the first time. Do you know who Adam McKay is by any chance?
Yeah, that's the guy that does all the stuff with Will Ferrell. And so he was the dude that put together with Will Ferrell Eastbound and Down and about 10 other things that you would know. Right?
Yeah, but not only that, I mean, Academy Award-winning director and now one of the biggest and most important names in Hollywood. I mean, he broke away from Will Ferrell. When he did The Big Short and won the
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
What have you done since all that Will Ferrell fun stuff?
Was it Gary Sanchez? Wasn't it Gary Sanchez Productions? That was the name of their production company. It was the joint production company between Ferrell and McKay. And they had a falling out. And apparently the falling out was over Adam McKay's current series that's running on HBO, Winning Time, about the Lakers. Do you know this series?
Oh, my God. I saw like the first 2 episodes of that at my wife's cousin's, and that's a great premise for a show.
Oh, it's a great series. It's in season 2 right now, or season 3. It's season 2, I believe. But anyway, that was supposed to be a Will Ferrell and Adam McKay production, just like Eastbound and Down and all of that.
Right.
But Will Ferrell, now get this. This is going to be good. This is juicy. Will Ferrell wanted to play Jerry Buss. Like, Will Ferrell really wanted to play Jerry Buss so bad. And Will Ferrell and Adam McKay had a split over it because Adam McKay was like, no, John C. Reilly is going to play Jerry Buss. And, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly shake and bake. I mean, these two stepbrothers, come on. I mean, these two guys are like, they're not friends anymore either. Because
no
of this.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes me sad.
And apparently, Will Ferrell walked away from the project and said, I'm done working with you guys. And Will Ferrell and Adam McKay and John C. Reilly haven't been friends since. And Gary Sanchez Productions is no more. However, Adam McKay does do a whole lot of things. And this is a new documentary that he created for HBO. So let's take a look at this, James. Okay, it is on that subject of Bishop Sycamore. Let's watch.
IMG to kick off to Bishop Sycamore.
Do you want my hands like this, like that?
Just be natural. You don't have to try.
Coach Roy Johnson told us they had a number of Division I prospects.
Too high, tip, intercepted. Thanks and a pick 6. Into the end zone. He'll waltz in, and that will do it.
Do I look like a con artist?
How this happens got a lot of people scratching their head. Bishop Sycamore is not even a real high school.
They did not have teachers.
We really was pretty much on our own.
We didn't have any trainers. People were sharing helmets.
It was disgusting. I was literally sick to my stomach.
I can't believe this happened again.
My philosophy in business is do what the people who have the money do, even if you don't have the money.
Roy will tell you he's a liar.
He knew what to say, how to say it.
He's like, oh man, you gotta let that go. I said, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go of his neck after I grab it.
I think I'm the most honest liar that I know.
How can you coach kids and you know it's not a school?
Roy would tell people, you're gonna be playing in Alabama.
He was just selling me a dream.
Ohio was embarrassed by this. They called the thing explicitly a scam. And then said they couldn't do a damn thing about it.
Bishop Sycamore does not happen if there wasn't an abundance of money in high school sports.
Let's go! Did I break a law? Is it illegal? Am I in jail?
We're on ESPN. Win, lose, or draw, we win.
This is not what we were supposed to create.
How do I tell my mama that coach wants me to do the same stuff that you try to get me away from?
You say you care about us, but did you really?
Can we take a break? That's some bullshit.
1, 2, 3, all right!
right, there you go. That is the new HBO documentary BS High that
a good name.
premiered on HBO about 90 minutes ago. So if you have HBO Max, you can watch that later tonight, just as I will be. Huh? How about that, James?
Oh man, I'm so behind. I still got to watch the Johnny Manziel documentary. Oh, I'm so behind, man.
No.
And you know what else I saw today that is right along the same screwed up fraudulent tree is what's his name? Billy McFadden. Remember that name?
Yeah, Fire Island or Firefest.
He just got out of prison, and they're having a Fire Fest too.
I know. How exciting is that?
Oh my God. You know this, but I think half the people watching are just now finding out for the first time, and that is not a joke. I wish it was a joke, but that is not. These people are sociopaths, and they don't learn. They are incapable of learning their lesson when it comes to stuff like. Did that coach show any remorse for the crap he had pulled and things he had put people through and the embarrassment and the lies and everything? No. I didn't. Granted, hey, I just saw a promo.
No, I can tell you, I've watched that promo, and I intend to watch the show as soon as we sign off here. That coach seems despicable. That coach seems to have zero shame and is just all hustle. He's just one of these street hustlers.
Well, it also look, there's a lot of people with hustlers that are hustlers, but when you cross a hustler with a sociopath, and I don't say that as like a pejorative or an insult. There's a lot of sociopaths who are actually decent people, despite their shortcomings. But when you get like a hustler as a sociopath, that's the same thing. Billy McFadden or McFarlane. It's the same thing. The Fire Festival guy.
It's Billy McFarlane. Billy McFarlane is the Fire Fest guy.
Billy McFarlane. Sure, it's not McFadden. I'm thinking of Darren McFadden, the running back.
Darren McFadden. It's Billy McFarlane.
Billy McFarlane. So when you mix someone with hustle, with charisma, because this guy's not an idiot. Billy McFarlane's not an idiot, and the coach of BS High is not an idiot.
No. Con men are never idiots. Con men are quite clever and quite smart.
No. The successful ones are not idiots. There's plenty of dumb con men who get caught in the dumbest stuff, and we make fun of them on the show all the time.
True.
They're like, I put lemon juice on my face. I can't believe the camera picked me up.
Well, those are con men. James, I think we're talking about con artists.
Oh yeah, when you reach that new level, you get the honorary title of con artist. So you have a guy who doesn't mind lying. Look, one of the reasons you and I don't run around lying to everyone all the time is we understand that down the line there's negative consequences to it, of course, but also we are a human being and we don't want to be the one that's cheating someone else because we know what it feels like to be cheated. Right. And we don't want to be that for someone else. But if you could just if you could just snap that tendon and just separate that muscle from that bone, you're a sociopath, right? And now you're a hustler, and now you're ambitious and you're well-spoken and you're smart. And what if you don't feel any pain, remorse, or guilt about lying to another human being?
Just to get what you want. Yeah, that's that full throttle. That's that every sales department at every radio station that I've ever worked with, their top earner was basically a sociopath or a sociopath, just completely
an empath of some sort.
Yes.
And it's funny because you
couldn't trust a word they'd say, and they'd say it with a smile while hugging you. I mean, they were just awful.
Boy, those people that just lie that easily, they are scary, like in hindsight. Not at the time. At the time, you're enjoying yourself and you get sucked into it.
Because they're good. That's why they're good at it. They make you think it's real in the moment, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, and so what's the statistic? I remember empaths, people that have that severed connection, that human connection, they don't have that. It's like 2% of the population, but they make up something to the effect of, I think it's 20% of CEOs or 20% of Fortune 500 CEOs or something, whatever. Fortune 500 CEOs. There's some amazing statistics like that when you look at, because you kind of think, if someone has that big of a personality flaw, wouldn't that hurt them in the whole natural selection process? Not really.
No. What does that say about the intent of humanity? If that is the sort of superior gene for acquiring whatever sense of success, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, is that success? Is a lack of the empathy, or what we're describing here, these people, these borderline sociopaths, if it is something that leads to a life of comfort and success and wealth, what does that say about the intent of humanity? Are we supposed to be that?
Well,
Or
are
we not supposed to be wealthy and comfortable and
Yeah, and that sort of rings true in the animal kingdom as well. So I don't think that's something you can pin on human beings specifically, but more just the natural world and natural selection itself. And Darwinism doesn't mean everything's going to be nice and you're not going to get stabbed in the back at some point. And I don't know if you've ever been dipped in Thomas Hobbes' philosophy, but that basically says the only way you can guarantee that you're not going to get stabbed in the back is to stab first.
Yeah, no. I'm a golden rule guy myself.
Well, that's one of the fun parts about evolution. It doesn't matter if we like the trait or the behavior pattern or not. The truth is, the important part is, is it more likely to lead to success? And so you see, you would think some of these bad traits would get naturally selected out, like alcoholism. You would think all these people, and you'd die in a car wreck at 21 when you're in college and you wouldn't be able to reproduce, and we would eventually be able to winnow these people out of the population, or they would have winnowed themselves out of the population. It's not like we have a final solution to get rid of drunk drivers. But it turns out that the same behavior patterns and the same drive and compulsion that drives people to be alcoholics is actually really useful if they can take that drive and point it in a productive direction. So a lot of times the most productive salesperson in the sales department very well may be an addict of some sort.
Here's what I need you to do. I need you to paper this up. I know a grant writer. We could probably get about $500,000 to pursue this theory of yours in this investigation. Let's look into it. Come on. How'd you like to spend the next couple of years making about $150 a year? All we got to do is talk on the phone a couple of days.
Oh my God. If that's what you're offering me, I'll take it.
Oh yeah. And then in the time that we're not talking, just keep thinking through this idea. Jot down some notes. There you go. See, we're forwarding the species through this kind of that's have you ever been, I was only kidding about that, but have you ever been involved in the grant writing game? Like, have you ever worked for organizations that were relying on people who write grants and all that stuff?
I haven't.
Crazy. That's a crazy world, man. And basically people are making money in exactly the way that I just described to you.
Oh yeah. So I've never been in it myself, but I had a roommate for 6 months, and she was in charge of writing grants for nonprofits around Louisiana. She was plugged in, and
it's serious. It's serious business, and you got to be smart to be a grant writer. The good grant writers get paid huge dollars, because the other end of it is, if you get the grant, you could get like millions of dollars. So yeah, the person that wrote that up.
And so when I was living with her, she got a new gig where she was working for Keep Louisiana Beautiful. It's like, well, can y'all make it beautiful to begin with? Well, I don't know how y'all can use the word keep. That's wrong verb. You're not beautiful now. But anyway, she was working for Keep Louisiana Beautiful, and that's what she would do. She would just write these grants, just trying to get grants from all over the place. And I'm like, okay, so you apply for grants with the federal government, and they tell you no. What do you do next? She goes, oh, James, there's like 187 agencies within the federal government that I write grant applications for, and then there's about 26 in Louisiana alone under the state government. And then there's all kinds of corporate foundations, the Carnegies or Greenpeace or Sierra Club or something like that. And so, yeah, she did just spend all of her days writing grants, or trying to get grants.
So let me sort of take this conversation in a different place, just because of the two different things that we just discussed. We discussed that trait in people that allows them to be shameless and possibly successful, and now we're talking about grants and charities and how you have to be careful. James, one of the things I wanted to do tonight was just talk about some of the things that we're watching currently, because I know that's something you like to do from time to time, and I hadn't done it in a while. So there is something that I'm currently watching that is gripped me. Now, there's one episode left. The final episode airs next Monday. It's another HBO Max show. And James, it combines the two subjects that you just discussed there. It's called Telemarketers. and it's about the industry of telemarketing and robocalling. Now, let me give you a little background on what this 3-part docu-series is. 2 dudes who worked for this super corrupt, super illegal Federal Trade Commission came in and shut them down. Phony charity telemarketing group in New Jersey. It was a warehouse. There were hundreds of people at phone banks. People were doing heroin right there. I mean, it was completely crazy. And they started filming this documentary with the intent to take down the industry from the inside. This was back in like 2005. Like kids, they stopped doing it. They drifted away.
2005.
Oh yeah. So the first 2 episodes are them filming this stuff in 2005, and then finally it jumps to 2020. The Safdie brothers are behind this project. Somehow this kid, they used to work together. These 2 dudes. Here, let me show you.
No, I know those guys. They came up with that dance.
No, the Safdie dance. Yeah.
The Safdie dance. Yeah.
That's great. That's solid. No, they're the guys from Uncut Gems. Remember the Adam Sandler movie where he was a jeweler in New York, but also a degenerate gambler. They were the.
He was really into basketball.
What? Yeah. Those are the 2 brothers who wrote and directed that. Are the guys that are behind this. So let me let you watch this now. This is the trailer. This is the show that I am currently watching, and just hang up on them, man. From now on, just hang up on them. Here they go. This is from Telemarketers, a new series on HBO.
Hey, what's up?
Where are we going into?
We're going into Civic Development Group, and what we do is we call up people and chisel them out of money.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
Patrick and I both work at this telemarketing place. I was this 14-year-old kid making calls on behalf of charities.
It's like a big-ass cookout.
Get money at my motherfucking mouth.
I didn't think I was doing anything bad at all.
Now, Lisa, these families, they do need your support.
The business model is defrauding the most vulnerable in this country.
It was a big-time scam.
This is capitalism. Get money. We need to show the world what this place really does. The media and the government haven't been able to stop them, so now it's up to us.
We gotta take them down from the inside.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
Pat and I had vowed to expose the industry, and it seemed to be evolving into something bigger and weirder than ever.
Political action campaigns, robocalls, Federal Trade Commission, Congress.
This guy does not want to talk to us, so we figured we'd get something to eat.
Oh, there he is. Let's leave the food. Go.
Get money. Regulating telemarketing is like regulating Somalia pirates. Just can't be done.
You're like a whistleblower.
They don't want us here, bro.
Dude, let's just go, Sam.
There's no turning back.
They were calling, and the initials were cash, so they would tell you, make the check out to CASH. Wake up! Smell the coffee.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
All right, that's Telemarketers. It is excellent, and it is hysterical, because now that you've seen it, I can explain to you what's going on there. That guy who was talking, who just said, and they would tell you to make the check out to cash. See, that's Pat. Okay, Pat's like the star of it. Pat is basically a Howard Stern whackpacker type who was never discovered by Howard Stern, but he was discovered by that other younger guy that we see all the time, who was a pretty smart kid who worked at the telemarketing place and wanted to be a filmmaker and is now in LA as a filmmaker. And while working at this place, noticed that he had his own little, if he were Howard Stern, this would be his whackpacker. So he convinced him to make this documentary. The whole time they're legitimately trying to expose the corruption and the fraud in this charity telemarketing business they're working for. But James, that guy, Pat, that guy, he is a Saturday Night Live character. He is just so awkward, and they make him interview everybody. And so it almost ends up with this Borat, Ali G, Chris Farley show kind of vibe, because Pat is awful. So entertaining. So here's what they did. They would Here's what their company was doing. Their company would go to the Fraternal Order of Police and say, how much money did you raise last year? And they'd say, not so much, 12,000. And their company would say, how would you like to raise 20 million this year? What? How are we going to do that? And they would say, well, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to call on your behalf. We're going to call around nationwide, everybody. We're calling on behalf of the Fraternal Order of Police. We're going to keep 80%. You're going to keep 20%. But that 20% is going to be about 200% more than you're making all year. So that's what they did. It was a scam. You thought they would call and say things like, well, thank you, ma'am. Your money has just helped the family of Officer Richard Davis, who was gunned down in Ohio. They would create these stories and 80% was going to these two rich guys that were running this telemarketing scam coast to coast. But James, the nationwide Fraternal Order of Police were involved, and the company got shut down and the company got fined $18 million. But nobody ever even mentioned that the Fraternal Order of Police were, involved, knew how much their campaign arm was generating.
No, I'm sure it's okay because they gave all the money back, right?
No, it went to fancy things like limousines and parties and
the Fraternal Order of Police.
Yeah, no, the Fraternal Order of Police, the money, they traced the money and it went to limousines and it went. Do you know what the Fraternal Order of Police
did? The limousines? I thought you were talking about the scammers did the limousines.
No, the police did.
The
police took this newfound money that they had never gotten through fundraising before. The police were complicit. They knew that this was shady fundraising. And they allowed these people. Oh, and who were these people? So who were the telemarketers? That's where it gets great. That's where we meet Pat. They were all ex-cons. They would wait at halfway houses. And they would, when someone checked into the halfway house, they would say, hey, you need a job. Come work here. And so it was all people who were ex-cons. It was all people who were drug addicts, except there were some good ones, some guys who could actually talk, like Pat. Pat was an amazing telemarketer. He could close anybody, anytime, because as we were talking about earlier, he's a sociopath. He has no shame. He will say whatever he has. And this documentary series is just filled with these people, James. These people who are just like, I'll tell a guy on a phone anything I gotta to get his money out of him. What do I care? He's the dummy. And there is some truth to that. I think that there is some truth to that. It's an ugly attitude to have, but James?
Well, we all, whether we admit it or not, we like dunking on people. And this is why people like watching the Kardashians. They're like, they may be millionaires and beautiful and successful and stuff, but they're dumb. I'm way better than that. And I don't know. I just get a feeling like if you're smart and you do that, you're kind of an a-hole. But if you're dumb and you do that, that's just a different level. That's just like,
it's unfortunate, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, it's like when you play basketball and you practice and you're good, and then you show up and the other team has a guy that's like 7 feet tall, and it's like, well, that's not, you didn't, I don't know. It just.
So let me tell you one quick story about one person that they interview in this, one shameless son of a bitch. His greatest career moment is that over the course of a year, he chiseled, in his own words, an Alzheimer patient out of $78,000 by calling them every single day and getting another $1,000 out of them, because he knew they were an Alzheimer patient and they would never remember writing the check on the first. And $78,000. When he was confronted by this, morally, how do you feel about this? And he goes, she's 82 years old. She's going to be dead anyway pretty soon. What does she care about her credit? Because this was all being taken off her credit card. Every single day, she would give the credit card again because she forgot she did it the day before because she's 84, has Alzheimer's. I mean, wow.
Well, look, here's a hot take on it. My father-in-law is one of these people that keeps getting scammed over and over. He just got scammed again like a couple weeks ago. And you've heard me tell these stories before, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when I say he's been scammed before, I don't mean once or twice. I mean, we're up to like 10 times at this point. This guy is giving money to someone over the phone. And I don't even care. I don't even tell me the stories anymore. My mother-in-law doesn't even tell me the stories anymore because I used to go in and help clean it up and let me make some phone calls because when he would run out of money, he would borrow money from business associates, and he was owing money to all these people. And when he got busted in a big giveaway where he gave away tens of thousands of dollars to some dudes in Jamaica, I had to get on the phone and be like, listen, this money he borrowed from you, he doesn't have it to pay you back. He gave it away and it ain't coming back.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God.
Yeah, I had to call 8 people. And so after I did that, I told mother-in-law, I'm like, listen, I'm doing this, but only if you take everything away from this man. You don't let him have a car. You don't let him have a cell phone. You don't let him have a computer and access to the internet. And it's like, well, how is he going to do his job? He's not. He's officially retired now.
Yeah.
And listen. She said she was going to do that, and she didn't. And she let him keep working. So she had to have access to the internet, and he had to have a cell phone, and he had to have a car. And so he's gotten scammed like 4 times since then. That happened like 3 years ago.
Oh, my God.
And so it keeps happening over and over. And I am kind of on the point of, where are the people who let a 81-year-old with Alzheimer's who can't remember anything for a 24-hour clip have access to a credit card?
Well, James, where are the people? There's a lot of alone people out there. There are a lot of old people who, maybe their last son, maybe they're 95 and their oldest or youngest son just died at 75. You know what I mean? There's a lot of alone people out there. And that, as we learn in watching this telemarketers thing, that's who they're targeting. They specifically know who these people are. They are seeking them out. There are highly paid people who put together lists of, they pay off people at Alzheimer's clinics to give them the lists of their, it's disgusting, dude. It's really disgusting with the depravity that these people will. There's
most of the low. That's the horrible part. If you're a smart person punching down on all of society, you're Ken Jennings showing the whole world you're smarter at Jeopardy, or 99% of the world you're smarter at Jeopardy. But these dumb people, who are they necessarily picking on? Who are they necessarily punching down on? And it's just vulnerable, compromised old people losing their mental faculties, and that's just horrible. I mean, the people who deserve it the least, really. Once you get past that certain area of decline to where you've kind of re-entered childhood, you should sort of get the same protections that minors get.
Yeah.
You're not really allowed to have access to a bank account. But
that's where it gets tricky. At what point do you determine that they've crossed over that line? Because until they do, they're still a citizen and an adult, and they have rights.
And this is a super difficult conversation to have, because just look how hard it is to decide when should a person not be able to drive a car again. Because my wife's grandmother, who's sitting in hospice right now on like day 60 in hospice. How are you pulling this off? She drove a car until earlier this year. She was still driving earlier this year, and she's 93. Didn't have any big problems.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not for everybody. There's people, we're thinking about taking the keys away from my dad, and he's 71.
No, unless there's something, happening with your dad. You don't take keys away from a 71-year-old, James.
Yeah, well, ride with him in the truck. And
okay, well then maybe there's something else going on. I'm just saying.
Hey, it doesn't bother me. I like to live life on the edge, and if he's 71 and he wrecks, whoop-de-doo, he lived a great life. I just don't want him knocking out like a family of 4 or something when he goes out.
That's the beauty of you. All right, I got nothing else. I don't know. What do you got? You got something you want to drop in here? We got 6 minutes left. Well, we can do a quick round of whose is bigger, or we can just, I don't know.
Well, I have a bit coming up on my I call them bits still, on my TV show tomorrow, where we have to do it's a TV talk show, and I have to talk about not so newsy stuff, but more lifestyle stuff, like kind of like.
Why can't we watch this?
You can.
I asked you, and you said no. Oh, yeah. Okay. How? Okay. So tell us, how do we watch your show during the day?
KETK.com. That's
what is it?
There's also an app, KETK, like East Texas, and then there's K's on the either side of it.
KETK. All right, KETK.
Yeah, just there's an app, and there's KETK.com.
Okay, where's that? That's in Tyler.
Bug Tussle, yes.
Bug Tussle's #1 news leader.
Oh, well, it's Bug Tussle's NBC affiliate, that's for sure. But I'm doing a bit tomorrow where they just like these stories that come down the pike from network, whether it's I work for Nexstar and NBC, like Nexstar owns the station, NBC's our brand affiliate. So we have these different sources that are sending us these stories, and some of them just crack me up. So I've gotten to a pattern to where I like to just make fun of some of these stories. I don't know how well it's going over with management, but they haven't complained yet. But so we were ranking the top state parks in every state, and the top state park listed in some, I don't know, NerdWallet or InvestaHub or something like that, put Abilene State Park.
For Texas?
Yeah, Abilene State Park. And so I was like, what the hell is this study, this poll or whatever based on? And so it was based on number of visitors and number of Google searches, and then also the number of positive reviews or the ratio of positive to negative reviews on different websites. Wow. And I was like, so this is dependent on how it was rated. And so I go and I read some of the reviews, and it was cracking me up because what I'm going to do tomorrow is just a reminder that there's city mice and there's country mice, right? And I'm not going to spell it like this on the radio, but I mean on TV, but city mice and country mice. And so Abilene State Park, they don't have anything great there. There are amazing, majestic state parks in Texas, like the Palo Duro Canyon has a state park in it, and it's like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't all of West Texas like the most amazing state park with rock monuments and all kinds of, yeah.
And Big Bend looks like just made for postcards. There's state parks that are all up down the beautiful beaches in the Gulf of Mexico.
Every Western made between 1950 and 1970 was shot. So just imagine that beauty and that's basically.
Yeah, but that is not Abilene.
No.
And just a little south of Abilene by this tiny little lake, Buffalo Chip Lake or whatever, there's a little forest where they've carved out a state park, and the reviews on it are hilarious. And so I was trying to figure out what's going on, because we have Tyler State Park that's not too far out of a Bug Tussle, and it's the same thing. There's a teeny tiny little lake. It's just a glorified pond that got dammed up, and they have a couple of like little campsites with places you can rent and some places where you can shower and take a dump. And the reviews are hilarious because it is city people coming out to the country for the first time, and they're like, oh, it's so nice and quiet, and you can hear the birds chirping and the wind rustling through the leaves, and you can hike through the forest. And I'm like, you're not hiking through the forest. You're walking through the woods. Okay?
Do tell. What is the difference?
Well, the difference is for most people out here in Bug Tussle, this amazing, exotic, just exhilarating experience is the equivalent of me walking out of my backyard. Like, right, just walking into the woods from my okay.
Why don't you appreciate it? Why is that lost on you? Maybe you should use these people as a beacon to recognize the beauty in your everyday life, and you'd be happier.
That's a valid point. However, walking through the woods is what I did basically every day during the summer for my entire childhood, because that's what we had in our backyard. And so it's not exotic. It's not like pristine wilderness and you get to hear the birds chirp. What do you mean you get to hear the birds chirp? I was so excited when I finally moved to a city and like I could hear cars honking on the street when I was trying to go to sleep. I love the noise. I love the excitement. I love the bustle. Yeah. I had so much of that. All I can hear is stupid birds and a bunch of stupid frogs and leaves. And so it's like, not only is it not exotic, it's the most mundane, boring. It's like those people like ASMR, that really slow talk where they talk real calm. Yeah. That's what life is like out there when you live in the woods. And so it's just funny how disconnected from nature are you that you're excited to see a tree, or you're excited?
Well, I mean, where do they live? Because, there are big cities all across this country that are not disconnected from nature, that have absolutely nature as one of the primary selling points. New York is a great example of that. Chicago is a great example of that. San Francisco is a great example of that. Los Angeles is a great example of that. You don't have to be rural to be able to appreciate and have access to nature.
I think I've come up with a good counter example though.
Mm-hmm.
Like where I lived in New Orleans in Lakeview. Now, New Orleans is incredibly urbanized in the fact that it sort of exists on this island, and there's swamp on two sides of it. There's a river on one side, a lake on the other side. So it's really just an island, and there is no nature in New Orleans, period. Now, you can get to nature pretty quick if you drive 20 minutes in any direction.
Well, there's an ocean and a river. And are you telling me there is no naturalized park areas that, are in New Orleans that utilize that river waterway, or is that just an industrial waterway? Because a lot of cities do that. They do away with the nature aspects that are naturally there for their city. Like, New York's got an ocean, but they also have, the beaches on Long Island and all that and the dunes and, the sand structures or whatever.
Look, when you get that far down in the Mississippi, if you go wade out into it, you're dead. It just
all right. So like New Orleans and then death. New Orleans and then water death.
Well, there's rip currents like about.
Okay, so here's what I understand. All right, so like take Chicago. Take where I'm from. Okay, I was just talking about New York. I don't know enough about New York. Let me talk about Chicago. It's naturally the city's east side is Lake Michigan. And that's a state. Right. That's a national park. It's a Great Lake National Park, right? That's Lake Michigan. So it is naturally a part of this beautiful thing, and the city has sort of utilized it. Like the Chicago lakefront is not been industrialized. So like when I look at New Orleans, yeah, it's all like it's docks and it's workers and it's steamboats and working boats and all that. As opposed to like Chicago, where I'm from, it's all beaches. There is no industry on the lakefront in Chicago. We do have that mix.
You're exactly the problem I'm talking about. That's your idea of the natural world.
No, it's not. It is the natural world. It's my idea of a version of the natural world, which goes back to my point that you don't have to be in the middle of nowhere to be able to appreciate nature. And if you think you do, I'd say get your head out of the fucking boonies.
The beachfront in Chicago on Lake Michigan is not nature. You're not.
Dude, do you know that entire part of the country was carved out of the Moraine Glacier? It is all valleys and rivers. Chicago has rivers crisscrossing all through it. And all of those rivers have nature walks and nature preserves. Chicago, Cook County in particular, is the largest county in America with preserved lands. The Chicago Cook County Forest Preserve System, my God, we're talking $1 trillion in real estate if they ever decided to put suburbs in there. No, there is a lot of nature in Chicago. New York, too. San Francisco as well. Go ahead. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to. You are talking about middle of nowhere, Wyoming type nature. And you're right. That's beautiful as well. But that is a different kind of nature. That is... You don't have to just be there to be able to see, Mother Nature's works.
I hear you.
You're just trying to be a contrarian.
No. You're making my point for me. I'm saying I am amused by these people from big cities who are just blown away when they go into actual nature. And you're like, I've been to actual nature. We have a beachfront in downtown Chicago on Lake Michigan.
No, I was using an example of how cities can intertwine with nature because we were talking about New Orleans, which apparently never made an attempt to do that. But there are other cities, big cities in America that do. I'm not saying that is the Grand Canyon, but I am saying that, you can enjoy nature. It's not like when you live in a big city that you never see a tree. Hell, I was 18 before I saw a tree. That's not a thing. I mean, Central Park is one of the most beautiful parks in all of America. And I guess that's not nature.
Central Park is not nature. That is my point. Central Park is not nature.
How so? It's more nature than it's the size of Tyler. What are you talking about? You're saying you got nature? That thing is massive, and it's a forest with lakes and rivers. And just because it's easily accessible to a large population, it's not nature in your opinion? Because that's the argument you're making.
On all sides by Manhattan, the largest city in the country. It is a carved.
So it's not remote, but it is nature.
Central Park is nature.
Of course it is. What do you think it is? What do you think it was built out of crystals?
Is there deer running through there? Is that what they have?
They're absolutely not deer. Of course not, because a deer can't exist with that kind of a population. But there are coyotes and there are fox and there are all kinds of animals. Absolutely there are.
Central Park. See, this is my point, y'all. This is why this is the guy I was laughing at when I was reading all those comments under Abilene State Park. They were like, this is just such an amazing display of God's natural world. I'm like, no, you walked into the woods outside of Abilene. You are not experiencing anything majestic or exotic or just, if this is your idea of, reaching out and touching the face of God, you need to get a hold of yourself.
Who would say? I don't think anybody said that. You're simply saying, you're denying that nature exists anywhere but Bufu, Egypt. And I'm telling you, you are wrong, sir.
Bro, no. All right. Look. And
I don't need you.
How do I make the argument that Central Park is freaking boonies? It's not the wild.
Okay. Your life in the boonies have provided you with a limited worldview, and we all just have to sit here and suffer your rantings.
Central Park is not an urban place. Got it.
No, of course it's Central Park is a park in an urban city. Well, I don't understand where you're disconnected. Either you're being intentionally disingenuous or you're just not getting what I'm saying.
It's one of the most.
A tree is not nature.
And manicured.
1,000 trees next to each other is not nature.
A million people.
No, we're going to keep talking over each other because ain't nobody going to hear anything either of us is saying.
Bye.
Nah. Oh. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for the High Noon Show. I'm Pugs Moran. That was James Parker. This is Radio Misfits. Right now, Tuesday, Wednesday. Last show of the week. I'm sorry. We got business to do tomorrow, but we will see you tomorrow on the High Noon Show and back here on Monday. Tuesday. Oh, my goodness, you guys. All right, we'll see you. You'll make it. I'll make it. We'll all make it. It'll be fine. Bye, everybody. I'm Pugs Moran. That was James Parker. We're Radio Misfits, RadioMisfits.com. Bye-bye. Look at them. They're glorious.
Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some.
All right, all I can say is I'm reading some of this stuff, and you rural people have no idea what the world outside your little farm fence is. You guys are nuts. You have no idea. None. Bye.
I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never